Sales trainer, performance coach, and inspirational speaker, which makes him uniquely qualified to inspire motivation across many genres.
Tony is a retired Army veteran who served in the Gulf War. He was in a barracks that was hit by a Scud missile. He received multiple injuries, which led to nearly 60 orthopedic surgeries and over 1 year staying in the hospital. Subsequently, he understands things like fortitude, tenacity, loyalty, and duty.
Since his experience in the Gulf War, Tony has been fortunate enough to continue his education. He holds a bachelor's degree in business management and a master's degree in management from the University of Phoenix. Tony places great value on education in both the traditional and real-world disciplines. This is why we are fortunate to have him share his philosophy of life and his principles of success.
It is Tony's sincere desire to share his life story with anyone who could benefit from the events and experiences he has witnessed. He speaks to inspire and empower his audience using the sustainable success by leveraging your best beliefs, evaluation, stewardship of wellness, and transfer of energy. Teaching through his personal experience as a combat veteran, salesman, and sales training expert, inspirational speaker, performance coach, and father of 4.
His passion for helping people and their organizations reach their full productive potential and practicing and high-producing salesman, sales trainer, and performance coach, Tony lends inspiration to solve challenging problems, and he motivates all who inquire to live their best lives.
Let's give a warm welcome to Tony Drees.
Let's have an applause for our student ambassadors. I know that's kind of a tough. Okay guys, we're ready to get started. I had the opportunity to go by and say hi to most of you in small groups and at your table. We talked about, and if my microphone stops working, that's fine, I'll just talk louder. We talked about a couple things that we're going to discuss today. I'm going to talk to you about my best practices, but the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a promise of me, and I hope that you can give me back the same promise. And my promise to you is I will only tell you the truth. I won't make or accept any excuses, and I'll never give up. And so I would ask that you give me the same promises, but more importantly, that you will give those same promises to your life. Do you remember those 3? Tell the truth. What about excuses? We don't accept them, we don't make them, right? And then what about tenacity? What do? We never give up, okay? So let me tell you a little bit about why I'm here today. The reason why we have all these great facilitators and great presenters. The reason why me is because it wasn't very long ago that I was you. The way I was raised was not in a traditional household, single parent, and then a step-parent. And quite frankly, my parents didn't have the skills or the desire to handle someone exceptional like me correctly. So as a result, by the time I was 13 years old, I got adopted. I was placed in foster care, and I got adopted. So I make a reference to, everyone's heard of Good Dad, or Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? Heard of that book, those series? So I have the same kind of analogy of rich mom, poor mom. And I'm not talking about with money, I'm talking about with skills, life skills of raising children. So, sadly, some of you may find this, that we have this as common ground, but I've heard things like, you're no good, you're a loser, you'll never be any good, you won't live this long, why can't you be more like so-and-so? How come you're not more like your brother, or your cousin, or your whatever? The interesting part of that is adults lie. Does anybody know that? Since you were a kid, your parents have been lying to you. They lied to you about the Tooth Fairy. They lied to you about, right? They lied to you about Santa Claus. They lied to you about the Easter Bunny. They lied to you about a lot of stuff. The difference between a malicious lie, like a lie if I say that you stole something, and clearly you didn't steal anything, that's a malicious lie. When we lie about the Tooth Fairy, they lie that way to try and develop in you hope and instill certain things. Along with that, parents, adults, teachers, whomever that we looked for guidance, they sometimes think that they're protecting us. So like, don't touch that, that's hot. Don't get on that, that's too high. Don't try that, you might not be able to do that. Don't try this profession, you're not good at math. And so what happens is they wind up trying to help us, but they wind up literally hurting us. Because every time they say don't do this, or you shouldn't do that, or you're not good at this, or you're not tall enough to play basketball, or you're not old enough to be in here, or you're not whatever, what they're doing is they're putting negative thoughts in our mind, in our vessel. So I want to do a quick, you guys notice there's a stone on each desk. Anyone not have a stone, raise your hand, please. I'm going to come along and collect those stones. I'm going to give you, by the time I turn around and grab my vessel for the stones, till I get to you, I want you to think of one negative thing that someone may have said to you or may have done to you in your lifetime. You guys do it very quickly amongst yourself. I'm going to come collect the stone. When I come collect your stone, tell me what it represents. Something negative, something not positive, something that wasn't helpful, something that made you feel badly, something that didn't help you. So I'm going now, starting now, go. Who should I come to first? I'm going to start at the back and work forward. So you guys at the front got a break. Who's ready? I'll put you on the spot.
Just let him do his thing, he'll be back. Maybe that.
A little bit limited.
Just a while.
Crazy.
Like, is it negative?
Stay focused.
Let's see, you got any stones? Can't think of anything. I can't think of any time where someone flat out said, you can't do that. I don't take this stuff seriously anyway.
Wait.
Oh, that's awful. I'm sorry you said that, but it's not true. I'll tell you why. It's not true. Yep. And I'm a big brother, so it happens to me. What do we got? No, that's not true. It's not true for anyone. What do we got?
I just can't take it seriously.
It's not
Everything.
I was gonna say that, but I was like, I get that wrong. No, it's not true. I'm the biggest fan. You got that Beyonce for you guys. Like my friend here.
Oh, it's not true. You were on purpose. I'll tell you why in just a second.
I could be there.
What do you got?
Close.
Did I miss anybody? Any more stones? So let's talk about the stones. Why stones? Here's the deal. This vessel, this jar, is you. All the stones in it are all the negative things that people have told you and filled your head with. It's awful, isn't it? What's worse is that at some point it gets so full that you feel like there's nothing else in there. There's no room for anything else in your head, your vessel, your mason jar, in your body for anything other than the negativity. And I got something for you. I heard some amazing things. First of all, I'm going to share something with you that my adopted mother shared with me at a young age. I was about some of your ages. I think I was about 13. I believed that I was a mistake, that I wasn't as good as my little brother. I was never going to amount to anything. I was told these things. I wish I never had you. You're not going to live past the age of 16, 13, whatever it was, whatever my current age was. The next one, I probably was going to make it to that birthday. I've heard all these negative things. And why am I here today? Because they're not true. The reason why we figured out they're not true is I had my adopted mother come up to me and say, all the things that people did or said to you, I'm so sorry that happened to you. If I could, I would take that away from you. I would get you in a situation where it would never happen to you. And so I'm saying that to each and every one of you. I've been where you are. I've had the hard knocks, and I'll tell you about it in a minute. And you can still make it. The difference is those people that are feeding us, they don't know that we have power. So let me share power. We had someone say that you're not as good as your brother or your sister, right? Was that one of them? Yes? Not comparing you to someone else? Yeah, right? Come up here for a second. I want you to do something for me. I want you to name that many reasons why you're better than your sister. What are you better at? Tell me.
I'm good saxophone.
Okay.
I'm better at writing.
Okay.
I'm better at playing video games.
Yep.
Taller.
Mm-hmm.
I weigh more.
Uh-huh. Get it in there. Well, you're not settled on that way yet. Get it in there.
I have more friends.
Uh-huh.
I dress better.
Yep. Keep going. You only got 4 left. This is you.
She's there to say play video games better.
Okay. Come on. You can do it twice.
Okay.
Come on, Karen. You got braces. You got nice teeth. Get them in there. Right?
My eyes are better.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a girlfriend and they don't.
Good. Give a round of applause for Carrie. For the sake of sheer time, I'm not going to go around and have every person offset what it is that is their negative stone in here. But you get the exercise, right? So if we start putting positive things in on top of all the negativity that we have, eventually what happens is that this vessel that we thought was full, and it feels full. It's heavy too, by the way. I got big arms. This is heavy. It's heavy carrying around this weight. But what happens as we apply our positivity to a vessel we thought was full, we start getting a change, don't we? Eventually, if we do like Carrie did, and that's going to make a mess. I'll do it over there. Now let's make a mess. So like Carrie said, that I'm not as good as my sibling. So eventually, if I put enough positivity in there, what happens? That thing that I believed about my sibling eventually comes out of the case, comes out of our vessel. And then we have more room for more positivity. And then if we apply this concept to everything that's negative in here, eventually what do we have? In a perfect world, we stop looking like that. Oh, look how light this is. Look how easy this is to carry. Here, I'm going to actually pass it around. You guys pass it around and see for yourself the difference in the weight. So as I said, my name is Tony Drees. The reason I'm here is because I get what you're going through. I've had it happen. The things people have said to you, they've said to me, and they're not true. The reason they're not true, and the way that you know, is because of your belief system. All that negativity can impact your belief system. When people say enough bad stuff about you, it makes you feel like a large portion of it is true, or all of it's true. But it's not true. Every person was born on this earth, even if you look at a baby. If a baby falls down on its face, what do automatically? They turn their head and try and breathe, right? You're born inherently to try and survive. More than that, you're born with absolute success. The only difference that happens between when you're born and when you eventually pass away is what you do in between. What you do in between is largely based on what you believe. Whatever your beliefs are, that's what you'll accomplish. If you say you can't do something, then I'm going to bet with you that you're not going to be able to do it. Right? Does that make sense? If you say that I can go do this, and if it's a job, if it's a sport, if it's a person you like, if it's something you want to write, if it's something you want to accomplish, something you want to create, anything that you say, I will put my personal money and I'll back it. Because that's how strong your beliefs are. What you believe, what you say will determine your attitudes will determine your actions, and your actions will give you your results, ultimately. Right? We've heard 3 presenters here today, and we're all talking about similar things, about success. I've broken it down into 4 categories, and I call it the best. You hear people say things like, okay, do your best. Oh, did you do your, if you break my jar, that's not doing your best. Gary, if you get a bad grade on something, and you bring it home and you're like, oh, I got a C on this. Is that a bad grade? A C? Yeah. Okay, good. Or you get a D. All right, say you get a D. Now that's a hard one to have, or D minus. You got to have a conversation. The conversation should be geared around, did you do your best? And then my conversation that I have with my 4 kids is, okay, describe to me what your best looks like in that scenario where you got this bad grade. So here's what I'm going to share with you. I have in my pocket the secret to success. And I'm going to hand it out to everybody. But I'm not giving it out for free. So you have to pay attention, and you have to remember our 3 promises to each other. What are they? True. I can't hear you.
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. No excuses. And never give up. Okay? Alright, so let's talk about our beliefs. When I was growing up, I was led to believe certain things, certain negative things. As a result, it impacted my actions, and therefore it impacted my results. I was a kid that was taken out of traditional school and put in a special needs class for 3 years. 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I was in with the developmentally disabled kids. Had to ride the short bus, had to take a lot of slacks behind that, all because of my behavior. My behavior stemmed from my home life, and you know how it goes, right? And you know, adults are quick to tell us about our consequences of our actions and that stuff. We don't even keep that, do we? We don't care about that. But it's a result of the consequences of my actions. Well, somewhere along the line, I know exactly what it was. I was 15 years old. I had managed to get myself familiar with the juvenile justice system. They were kind enough to invite me to stay at the State Industrial Boys School for a duration of 60 days. In that 60 days, they were going to determine whether I was a good fit for society or whether I needed to stay institutionalized until I was 18 years old. That's 3 years, guys. So you can appreciate that I was at a crossroads in my life that literally it defined whether I was going to be successful or if I was going to wind up in the penitentiary or whatever, or worse. I literally was up against it. My adoptive mom told me, she said, Tony, all the stuff in your life that happened, I can't control that, I'm sorry for that, like I said to you guys. But from this moment forward, however your life is going to be, is up to you. You have total control of it. No adults, none of your little friends, the people you hang out with, none of them have any control over your life except for you. That year, I joined track. I joined track, and I put my wheels to use. I got involved in theater, and I started doing positive theater, right? Theater jocks, I know. And so I started doing things that were inside of me that were compelling for me, and then all of a sudden my life just absolutely changed. So when you take control of your life, I need to give you a little bit of a warning though. So whenever something really, 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 really bad happens to you, that's the point where you need to know the 3rd rule. What's the 3rd rule? Never give up. Because right on the other side of that, just by surviving the worst thing that you can think of in your life, and if it happens to be that someone said something to you or did something to you, or you had an accident, or whatever happened to you, whatever the worst thing is possible in your life, wait for it, because just on the other side of that, that's where you're going to find your power. And what happens is we're only given enough stuff to make us strong, to fortify us. And so these things that happen to us, that as you get older, the thing that was the absolute worst thing that happened to you pales in comparison to something that maybe you're facing right now. But because you went through this thing at that time, it gives you the strength, and it also gives you the confidence to know that you'll be able to get through it, that you're going to be okay, that maybe what they told you wasn't exactly the truth. that maybe what they thought. So if a person tells you something about yourself, just ask them who's going to win the Super Bowl in 3 years from now. Right? Because if they know so well, if they can predict the future so well, let's make money at it. We can go to Vegas, and we can, no, never mind. But the point is, no one can predict your future about you. How could they? Therefore, as they're throwing things at you, throwing stones in this case, you don't have to accept them. You literally can just say, my jar is full with positivity, and I can't let your negative in. So once you get control of your belief, then you have to do some work. Okay? So the next step is engagement. You actually have to get off your butt and do some work. And I'll give you an example. Last week I was in DC shooting a TV commercial, and I had my 11-year-old son with me. He wanted to go shopping, and I'm like, okay. It was about 15 blocks away in DC, and so there's a few hills or whatever. So we start walking. He's 11. I've got a different stride than him. After about 2 blocks, he's like, man, Dad, I got a little, you're going to have to work that out, because I'm not carrying you 15 blocks. But what we started talking about, and I asked him, I said, what are you doing? What are you looking at? And he was looking way, way, way over there at the 15 blocks. I was like, dude, yeah, that's where we're going. That's our long-term goal. That's ultimately where we want to get to. I need you to stop focusing out there, though, because it's making you tired and you're getting the shin splints, and I'm not carrying you. Remember that part? So what I said is, why don't you look just to the end of the block? Why don't you look just from here to the next crack on the sidewalk? How many steps is that? He said, well, that's easy, Dad. That's 3. I said, show me. I'm like, that's 3. I was like, all right, now do 3 more. And so here we go. All of a sudden, 15 blocks later, not another word about a shin splint. And we're at our destination, and I didn't have to carry anybody. So that's the same thing with your life. You have to have your goals. And it's hard. Who's under pressure to get a job or decide what you're going to do with your occupation? And who, raise your hand for real. And pressure for grades and what college you're going to go to and what's your major and what are you going to be when you grow up? I'm 47 years old. I don't know what the heck I'm going to be when I grow up. So how can you folks know what you're going to be when you grow up? You want to be a what? A chicken nugget. All right. So the point of understanding where you are, like you guys don't even have enough information to make that decision, right? How could you possibly know? So you are tasked with doing the best that you can. One thing that we're doing in America right now is we're assigning a dollar amount to our college degrees. Everybody heard that? So if you say, hey, I want to be a school teacher, and what do your parents say? Oh, don't be a school teacher because you spend all that money, you get all those student loans, and then all of a sudden they don't pay you anything, right? That happens. Or I want to be an artist. Oh, don't do that, you'll be starving. So what happens is we start molding our expectations of our life based around money. Success, when we talk about success, we've heard it all day. All day we've heard success. How many classes have we had about success? Success, in most people's mind, instantly they start thinking in terms of money. So I gotta tell you, when I was a young man, there used to be this TV show on filmed in South Florida, like Miami. Don't act like you guys never heard of Miami Vice. But anyway, I had Miami Vice fever. I just knew that if I grew up and I made $100,000, 6-figure income, that I would be able to roll around like those guys in Miami Vice, driving Ferraris and living in. Let me tell you, I don't know how much money you have to make to live like Miami Vice, but $100,000 doesn't do it. Most of the time, when people get done, they have a bunch of student loans, they have kids to take care of, they have a mortgage, they have a couple cars they're paying for, they have insurance, they have health insurance, they have all these obligations, and quite frankly, it takes a little bit of the fun out of it. And so my engagement piece for you is rule number 1. Remember that rule? Tell the truth. So when you're looking at what you want to do with your life, when you're defining success, remember rule number 1. Don't do it for money. Don't do it because your parents said that this is a good thing for you. Don't do it because your brothers and sisters did it and they made a good living. Do it from the heart. Do it from what makes you feel good about you. Do it from something that you're decidedly good at. I heard a speaker say something that whatever your one skill is, find a way to master it And if you master it, then you'll find a way to get paid at it. And it's the truth. So when we all have to have money. Let's not kid ourselves. We have to do something for money. I know of young people right now, your age and younger, that are making big money by doing stuff on the internet. They're able to, maybe they have masters at soccer. Well, they blog about soccer, and then they have subscriptions of people that come to read their blog, and then they sell advertisements to their thing, and they're making money doing what they love to do. And if they keep marketing that way, they'll never have to go to a job a day in their life. So I'm not against traditional work. Guys, I'm not against it. If you want to do it, go do it. If you want to work for a corporation, I work for a corporation as my day gig. And it's an awesome corporation. I have a lot of perks. It's fun. It's prestigious, whatever. If that works for you, God bless you, but be the best at it. If it doesn't work for you, then don't succumb to everybody else's influence. Fortify your idea, fortify your skill, and defend it. Stay with it. Think beyond the box of it. So if it happens to be that I am the best manufacturer of ink pens, or I think I'm good at making personal ink pens, man, and so then my parents say, you know, Bic is pretty big, and then there's a bunch of Mont Blancs and other high-end pens, and there's inexpensive pens. How could you possibly make a living at ink pens? That's where the fun begins. Because if you truly have a passion for making ink pens, you'll find your market. The way always shows itself. It always shows itself. It doesn't matter, as long as you believe and you start on that journey, you don't have to know how you're going to do it. If you do, if you know what steps you have to take, that helps. But the way is going to, it's just going to, one day you'll be minding your own business like, oh man, I could just do this and I can make money with ink pens. What if I was a middleman of ink pens in an area that didn't have a lot of transport? And so maybe it's Alaska. Maybe I can sell ink pens to the school system in Alaska and I'll deliver them. And so my job is I drive back and forth from Colorado to Alaska and I happen to have a truckload of ink pens. They pay me for my ink pens and I come back. And each time I take a different route home and I blog about my trip. And people pay to support me to follow my blog. So now here you are selling ink pens. You're never clocking in with someone else. Your analysts were wrong because you're getting paid handsomely for something that is a commodity. So the point of that is simply rule number one. Go with your heart. Find the way will show up. But find a way. Think outside the box. If someone else made 1 million ink pens in an hour, find a way to make 2 million of them, or find a way to market them different. Okay? The next thing is it's a pretty important story in my life when I talk about engagement. When I got injured, and so I'll tell you what happened. What happened was I was in a building, big building. There was a couple hundred people in the building. This is in 1991 on the first Gulf War. A Scud missile hit our barracks. A piece of the Scud missile hit me in the leg. It shattered my femur, and it blew off the backs of both my legs. I almost died, like on the spot, almost in the wrap. After that, after they got me evacuated and stabilized, then there was constant conversations going on. Can we save the leg? Can we not save the leg? Can we save the leg? Can we not save the leg? And so this seems like an old age to you. I was 23, so it seems like a lot to you, but in retrospect, I was a little kid, basically. And so I'm having these conversations go on above my head. And remember, we've heard conversations that other people have had about us, like we're not even in the room. And at one point, I made up my mind. So we're gonna keep this leg, because it's my leg. And I made up my mind I'm keeping it. And so I talked to a doctor, and actually we've become very close friends over the years, but he was a new doctor. And he said to me, he goes, Drees, I heard that the people that take physical therapy seriously, they have good results. That's what he said. That was the end of the conversation. So in my mind, you know what I thought? I was like, well, if you can go to physical therapy and have great results, what if you went twice a day? So that's what I did. In the mornings, I would get up, go to breakfast, I'd go to physical therapy, I'd go in there with a bath towel, like just a regular towel, right? Half of it, I'd put in my mouth, and the other half, I would cover my face so no one could see me crying, because it was that painful. And so then I'd finish my 2 hours there, I'd go have lunch, I'd go take a nap, and I'd come back in the afternoon and do another session. And in those sessions, I was working on getting myself stronger. I went from being 205 pounds, which is close to what I weigh right now, down to 138 in about 45 days. So I made up my mind that if my legs weren't going to be as strong as they once were, then I need to make sure that my upper body was as strong as it possibly could be. And you should have heard what the people were saying to me. The higher-ups, the surgeons, I got to meet the hospital administrators, like the big dogs. They wanted to meet me. They're like, where is this kid that's doing this miraculous healing or whatever? It wasn't miraculous. I made up my mind. Once you made up your mind, everything else will follow. So please, whatever it is you want to do, don't let other people talk you out of it. Don't let other people influence you negatively. Make up your mind and then follow your plan. The best way to say it is like, if someone says to a student, you know how it is, you get an assignment for a 4-page paper. So you get the assignment, you look at it, you don't really look at it, you just throw it in your backpack and you think, okay, I got 8 days, right? So you just throw it in your backpack and you go on about your business. Where are you on night 7? Where are you at night 7 at about 10:30 in the evening? Well, how's your attitude? How's your focus? You're pretty focused, but your attitude, how is it? It's a little rocky, huh? Because what happened? We procrastinated. We waited to the last second when we thought we possibly could to do something that we knew was imminent. We had to do it, but we waited and waited and waited. Well, look at this. What happens if you have, and what happens, procrastination is one of those things. It's a habit. It happens to be a bad habit, but it's a habit. And in our lives, those of you that drive, if you think about the way that you go to school, you go the same way every single day, unless you have to pick up someone. Do you wear the same toothpaste, deodorant, shampoo, underwear, socks, whatever? Everything we do, we're creatures of habit. So once we like something, then we stop messing with it and we continue to do it. We don't even think about it. Have you ever got somewhere in your car and don't remember how you drove there? Man, I was thinking about prom and all this other stuff, and I don't even remember driving here. That's because we're on autopilot. That's our subconscious doing the work that used to be. And now you remember the first time you were driving? Had a car over here. Oh, this guy's too close. I'm getting nervous, right? That's different. And then you get to this. I don't know how I even got here today. What happens is we develop the habit of driving. We've gone through the motions enough time with repetition that all of a sudden we just do it easily. We do it so easily we don't have to think about it. Imagine if we do that with our success. Imagine if we practice training our brains for positivity. There's going to be negative stuff around us. There's nothing we can do about it, right? Turn on the news right now. What time is it? It's like 2:30 in the afternoon. Turn on the news. I guarantee there's the bad news is what I call it. So that doesn't help us. So how do we find that balance between being connected and current affairs or whatever and not being inundated with negativity? That's what we're in charge of. We get to filter the information that goes between the 6 inches. Only us. It's our filter. So when you hear something, think of the other side of it. If it's something awful, try and just think of the other side of it. If someone says something awful, think of what they're going through. And does it hurt? Sometimes it does, unless you know that they can't get through your filter. Then you can just wonder, like, man, I wonder if this person needs a hug, or if this person, right? You're not if this person needs something to enrich their day, because obviously they're struggling. So it gives you the power to take control of your life and not other people. And actually, you can stop thinking about you and think about we. Think about the other people out there that are saying things that don't make sense or that aren't consistent. So it's a beautiful thing once you learn the power of your beliefs. It's even a better thing when you take the power of your beliefs and say, I've got an example. On your desk, there's a 30-day challenge. You see it with the big 3-0? This actually came from a book that I read. It's a derivative of a book. It's called Ahmed Dino's The World's Greatest Salesman. Anybody heard that book? In this book, at the end of it, there are 10 scrolls that guarantee success to make you the world's greatest salesperson. Pretty impressive, right? Like, he guarantees you the success of the world's greatest salesperson. So it's a worthwhile read. Well, the first scroll talks about how you have to set yourself up to learn. And the way it works is every day, 3 times a day, once when you wake up, Once after your midday meal and once before you go to bed, you're supposed to read this book. And so I've been doing this challenge personally. I'm on, I restarted at the beginning of this year because some other people want to do it with me, but I'm on like 75 days, 77 days. And what you do is every time you read it, you write down a little note, what you were thinking when you read it. First thing I'll tell you is, the first couple times you read it, it's exciting. Like, man, I'm gonna learn this new thing, it's gonna get me hyped up. By day 16, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go read this book again. But every time you make yourself stop and open the book, and you start reading, it changes you. So the dread of it, the apprehension of it, the inconvenience of it disappears, and you get inspired in some way. And it's the same book you've been reading 3 times a day, every single day, and every time you read it, you get a different emotion, or you take a different idea away from it. And so it doesn't have to be the world's greatest salesman. It can be anything that's positive, that puts positive thoughts into your mind. The more that you can train yourself so much that it becomes a habit. You see where I'm going with this? Train yourself so much that it becomes a habit to feed your brain only positive thoughts and connect that with what you believe. What happens to you at this point? Even if nothing else changes around you. So like maybe you didn't get a new job, maybe you didn't get into that school you wanted, maybe you didn't get that new car that you were believing about, maybe all these things didn't happen, but how do you feel about you at that point? Better, right? That's the whole point. As long as you can do things that are appropriate and they make you feel good, they reinforce your belief, and then here we go again. We're just rolling. Same reason why I can go work out 2 times a day and then heal from something that I shouldn't be able to heal. Anybody see me limping? You want to race? You run track. I'm not racing you. No, but the point is, your mind is so powerful that you can't even possibly believe it. And the thing I told you earlier about adults not telling you the truth, most adults, pay attention when I tell you this, guys, this is important. Most adults don't know how powerful their brains are. Most adults don't know that if you make up your mind to do something, that nothing can stop you. Therefore, they can't share it with you. Therefore, they can't guide you. Therefore, they can't help you. Therefore, they can't let you get to the level of accomplishment. I heard someone tell me that it's so hard right now being a kid. You guys have so much pressure on you to make achievements that aren't even in the realm. Like, you're not even on the starting point. They want you to be up here already. Well, it's not fair. You put yourself up there once you connect with what it is you really want to do. They can't tell you what to do. I'm sorry, if they're mad, they're mad. They can call me. They can email me. I don't care. I'll tell them in their face, and I tell my own children that. They like, Dad, what should I do? I don't know. How can I know what you should do? What do you want to do? What are you good at? That's all I want. I want you to be happy. And whatever that means, it's up to you. It's not my definition. My definition of happiness is over here. So I'm working on my happiness. I'll help you with yours, but I gotta do mine too. That's the way you gotta live. Don't let people trick you. Don't get caught up in the trap either. Anybody seen that commercial, Time to Make the Donuts? Time to make the donuts, I made the donuts. Time to make the donuts, I made the donuts. Time to make the donuts. And what happens as adults, we get ourselves in it. We get in it. We have mortgages, we have cars, we have braces, we have tuition, we have all this other stuff. And we're in it. And what we wind up doing is we sell our time for money. What I'm asking you to do is sell your time for your success. You control it. How much time does it take you to be successful? It's up to you. It's not a 40-hour work week. It's not an 80-hour work week. It's not, there's no definitive answer. You get to decide. You get to say how much you need to work or how much you need to be present, how much you need to master these skills to be successful in your own right, not me. Not any other adult. So that's the part that's pretty real. You want me to tell you how? You want the secret in here? Anybody want it?
Yes.
I'm going to keep the secret for myself. No, the secret is simple. It's so simple that trust me. Now remember, rule number 1. Tell the truth, right? So I'm not going to lie to you right now, but this thing is so simple you're probably not going to believe me. Your faces already look like you don't believe me. So here's the secret. The secret, you want the key? Look, excuse me. You want it? This is the secret. Write on this what it is that you want, or that you like, or that you enjoy more than anything else. If there's 3 things, if there's 5 things, if there's 7 things, write it down and put it somewhere where you see it. Put it somewhere where it's in your face all the time. I have one on my computer screen. I have one on my mirror in my bathroom. I have one on, there's one probably in my iPad right now. Write down what it is that you want to accomplish, what it is that makes you feel good, make you be happy, and put it somewhere conspicuous that you have to keep looking at it. And make a point of actively looking at your goal. Write it down. And then tomorrow, if you think something differently, rewrite it. Edit it, revise it. It's yours. No one can tell you how it's supposed to be. Do it yourself. Write it down. So I'll give you the answer why. How come this is the answer? This is it? This is the key? We sat here, you tricked us. I didn't trick you. I'm telling you the truth. The reason why, and I'm not telling you to type it into your iPhone or your iPad or your laptop. Remember, I invited you to write it down. When you write down things, all the training that you had, all the cognitive ability that you had to learn to write is activated. And when you write things down, it builds new neural pathways in your mind. This is what we're talking about anyway, right? Controlling the space, the 6 inches between your ears, you controlling it. Well, by writing it, it reinforces the growth of your neural pathways. That's your first step to your positivity. That's your first step to achieving your goal. And not only is it your first step, it's your second, your third, your fifth, it's all. Write down your goals, carry them with you, look at them, and then think about, if I want to be rich. Okay, so people say that all the time, so that's an easy one. Let's say if I want to be a professional athlete. That's harder. There you go. Okay, so my man here, James. Okay, so if you want to be a professional athlete, let me see. Tell me some of the things you have to do to become, here, I'm going to write it down. Pro athlete. Okay? What are some of the tasks that you have to do to get from where you are today to where you want to be? Just tell me. Give it one. Do you have to practice? Do you have to practice? No grades? Good. Okay, grades come first. I love it. Practice? You got to work out? Oh, fundamentals, huh? What did Michael Jordan say about that? He said your fundamentals, when you control them, they will serve you the rest of your life. But you can never be excellent unless you have mastery of your fundamentals. That's what he said. And he went home and locked himself in the door because he didn't get accepted for his high school basketball team when he first tried out for it. You knew that? Okay. So, right? That's right. Now he's Michael Jordan. We can just say MJ, couldn't we? Imagine being so good at something that people know you by your initials. Not even your name. You're just that good, they know you by your initials. You have something named after you. An empire named after you, basically, right? You changed the game based on the way that you perform it. That's what we're talking about here. You have the ability to change the game of life based on how you perform it. Based on what activity you decide to embark upon and put your energy toward, you get to control it. That's an amazing thing, and not many people know that. And like I said, most adults don't know it. Because what do most adults do? Give up. Yeah, they give up. If it's too hard, they give up. They come up with what? Number 2? Excuses. Oh, no, I had to quit that. My ankle was hurting and, I couldn't do that anymore. Yeah, that's what happens. But what happens when that occurs, what do their children see? What do their grandchildren see? What about the other people they influence? They see that it's okay to quit. And that's rule number 3, right? No way. So make sure that you're careful what you model. Use your filters and use your key. This is your key to success. Everyone right now, today, if you'll only apply yourself and use those 3 rules and apply it as your best. The funny thing about your best, when we say do your best, oh, I did my best on that test. Is best static like this chair? This is a chair. I don't care how you spell it. I don't care if you tip it over. I don't care if you flip it upside down. What is it?
A chair.
It's a chair. What is your best?
A chair.
A chair, nice. No, your best. It's not static. Today, your best is one thing. 5 years from now, when you look back and do the same best, is it the same? Why? It morphs, it grows, it evolves. Different experiences, different skills that you pick up along the way. Your best is always changing. So if you say that I did the best I can for this second, that's great. Now what's your best going to be for tomorrow? I don't care about what you did 10 seconds ago. That's over. There's nothing we can do about it. Either it was or it wasn't, only you know. Right? I don't care. But what are you going to do to be your best next? And especially for guys like James who are athletes, you walk around with medals and stuff. I got something for you, James. I got something for that, James. I'm going to share something with you folks. See this? This is the Purple Heart. It's given for people that are injured in combat or people that die in combat. Fortunately, I got it. Okay. The difference between this medal and like the medals that James gets, James has to do his work first to get his medals. He has to get up early, he has to run, he has to go to practice, he has to do all these things, and then he still has to perform. If not his best, he at least has to do better than everyone else there if he wants a medal, right? This is the kind of medal, and this key that I gave you is the kind of medal that you get the medal first. After that, your hard work begins. So that's a weird medal. It's great because getting the medal first, what does that do to your neural pathways? It's positive, right? It starts making new positive neural pathways. Now you have to work your way up to it. So those are the kind of things that you should keep in mind. Little tricks like that. Like that's just a little simple trick, right? Do it. If you're going to go do an athletic event, get your medal or get a trophy from the last time, or envision the trophy, but actually having a tangible model. Look at it, touch it, feel it. Think about how you feel having that medal. And then act as if, and see what happens to your results. I promise you. And I'm an athlete, so I'll share with you. When I was 42, I ran a half marathon. When I was 37, I benched pressed 505. That's 5 plates on each side, James. So keep that in mind. I'm not telling you stuff, I'm not lying to you folks. I'm not telling you stuff you can't do. I went from almost getting amputated to, it's up here. It has very little to do with the rest of it. And if you have your mind in control, your body comes with it. That's easy. It's easy. It's easy. The last thing is sustainability, or the next thing is sustainability. If you get one medal and never get another one, are you good? No, what are you? No, not loser. James. You're lucky, right? You got it was like a fluke or something, right? If you want to be excellent at something, if you want to be really good, if you really want to know what your best is, not only do you have to get to the top, but you have to do it over and over and over and over and over again. You have to sustain it. Ask any high performer what's harder than getting there. Staying there. That's the hard part. So sustainability, for me, means something different. It's not only about the grind that it takes to be number one. It's not only about the grind that it takes to be your best. It means taking care of yourself. It means if you have things, we've all had things, and we talk about them in our rock jar, that have happened to you, that have occurred to you, that still haunt you, that still bother you, talk to someone about it. Seek the experts. Don't try and reinvent the wheel, folks. Don't do it. But don't follow the masses either. Follow the smart people. Follow the people that really did it well and are getting paid for it. Follow those people. So things like taking care of yourself, eating right, your diet, all those things that we know we're supposed to do, they are critically important if you want to sustain a high level of performance. And you can sustain it as long as you care to, as long as you keep yourself dialed in, right? So if you need to have a massage, or if you need to have a pedicure, or if you need to have whatever you need to do, take care of yourself. Also, in this step, take care of someone else. Once you start getting it, say, hey, you gotta see this thing I'm doing right now. Try it. Help somebody else. When you stop thinking about I, singular, and think about we, then you get exponential amount of opportunities. So like you're already on a path, you got your mind made up, you're doing stuff, like I got my steps, I'm cool. Come with me, come with me, come with me. And now so you start taking people with you, you develop this network of people attaining success, and opportunities like literally rain on you. Things that you didn't know how you were going to get it handled, the answer just opens up in front of you. So take someone with you, help somebody get to where you are. If you want to get really good at something, get really good at it, and then practice teaching somebody. You'll find out how good you are, and that'll help you stay good. That'll help you stay at the top of your game. So if you're a great athlete, or if you're a great actress, or a great soccer player, or whatever your deal is, teach someone else how to do it. It'll make you amazing. The last thing that you should know about in my acronym of BEST, it's time. If every person in the world were given $86,000, let's be more precise, $86,400. If I gave you $86,400 today, how would your day be? Look at she's smiling, like it'd be great. So, can you think in your mind very quickly of the things you would spend $86,000 on right now? Can you kind of start thinking, like, I can get this, and I get that Jeep I wanted, and then, you know, right? You start listing the list. What if I told you that you had to spend all $86,400 today? You can't carry any over, not one penny, into tomorrow. Can you do it? Can you do it? How about, could you do it again tomorrow? How about the next day? How about day 17? $86,000, you can't have a penny carry over. $86,400, you can't carry over a penny. Not one penny. How about day 32? Can you keep doing it? All in one day. But that's in college. What kind of college you go to? $86,000 a day. Here's my point. 86,400 is how many seconds are in a 24-hour day. That's how many seconds everybody starts off with every single day. And what happens when you first are granted it, you don't waste it. You're a little kid. You eat, you drink, you sleep, and you poop. That's it. You're doing the basics of life, right? When we get older and we ask someone, what would you do with $86,400? Like, I can spend it the first day. I can spend it the third day. I can spend it the seventh day. Man, by day 10, I'm out of stuff to spend it on, honestly. So what you wind up doing...
You just donate to charity.
What's that?
Donate whatever's left over to charity.
Yes, you can donate it to charity. But what happens is, especially since it's given to us, and it's in a large amount, we get a little careless with it. We get a little frivolous. And if you don't believe me, think about your time. When you get out of school and you go home, what do? Oh, no one plays video games. No one watches TV. No one does anything. Right? Your mom's talking. But think about how you spend your time. Is every second of your time 86,400 seconds accounted for? I would think not. How come? And you feel like you get a recount. You get to restart it tomorrow. So if I waste this entire day, don't I get to restart it tomorrow? I get another chance at 86,400 seconds? The problem with that is we don't know when it expires. You don't know. No, you don't know when your clock expires. Yeah, so the money is one thing, but when we talk about it in terms of time, every second that we waste, how can we get it back? What if you're really rich? Can you buy time? They've been trying. They want to. You can't buy your time back. So every second that is allocated towards your life, and we don't know when it expires, make sure that you're okay with how you're using it. So if you decide to use it playing video games, that's your business. I don't care. But make sure you're okay with that use of time. If you decide to use it studying so you can go to a great school and do the thing that you really love, that's okay with me. If you decide doing it, playing a hobby, that's okay. You can do whatever you want with it, but realize that it's a definitive, finite amount per day. Some people are able to go to school with it, raise 4 kids, have a daytime job, and still have a standard of living that is worthy of aspiration. Other people, they go work their 40 hours, and then they go sit on the couch and drink beer. It's the same 86,000 seconds. Use yours wisely. Learn to prioritize. Learn to manage your time. So if you want time off, if you want time to slack and downtime, it's great. But when you're on, make sure that you're dialed in. So we were talking about that procrastinating person, right? With the 4-page assignment. Imagine if you got a 10-page assignment and you have 14 days to do it, 2 weeks. But imagine if when the instructor gives you the assignment, that you stop and real quickly read through it again real quick, and then start writing an outline right that second when they assign it to you. Then later on that night, based on your outline, there's a couple things that are easy. We just knock them out. So maybe you just go and knock those out today. We still have 13 days, and the framework is already done. Now if you say, instead of 14 days, because they do that sometimes, and I know I procrastinate, I'm going to give myself 4 days to do this assignment. And then you chunk the assignment up and segment it in chunks that you can get done in the next 4 days, and you have a draft that's ready for editing or for revamping. You can add stuff, you can do a presentation, you can do whatever you want with it. And what happened to your stress level? We talk about all the pressure we're under, right? Everybody's under a lot of pressure, enormous amount of pressure. But imagine how much of it is self-imposed because of how we value time, or because of the bad habits that we become a victim of, right? What happens if we had good habits? Good habits of dissecting and prioritizing. Good habits of putting accountability on ourselves and not on the time, not on my partner wasn't there to help me with the work, or not on whatever else. Do it earlier. You start doing things like that, and you develop habits for success. Develop habits for time management. Develop habits for sustainability. Develop habits for your belief system. And you develop habits for success. That's all it is. The difference between someone who succeeds and someone who fails is the difference in their habits. If you're not smarter than someone else, or if you are smarter than someone else, especially, you should get this, but it doesn't matter where you land on the spectrum. First of all, I don't believe someone's smarter than someone else, first of all. It's impossible in my estimation, but whatever. I think it's a matter of experiences that each person goes through that makes them uniquely qualified in certain areas at certain times of their life. So I don't believe anyone's smart. But if someone were smarter than me, so like Einstein's smarter than me, okay? Good. But I can outwork Einstein with my plan and with my habits. And I can be equally as successful or notable or famous or whatever as Einstein. And he's notably smarter than me. So you don't have to be smarter. You have to work smarter. You have to use the thing that your body inherently does automatically. Don't let it do it automatically. Control it. And then it'll control your attitudes, and then it'll control your actions, and then it'll control your results. So in summary, 3 rules. Somebody help me. Rule number 1. Tell the truth, especially when it comes to your own situation, to your own skills. Let me say this. If you suck at something, it's okay. If you don't want to suck, then you got to do your work. And so you got to assign yourself and prioritize yourself all the stuff you need to do so you don't suck at it. If you suck at it and it's okay with you, it's okay with me too. You don't have to be great at everything. Determine what you want to be great at. Determine what you want to put your energy in and control that. So our beliefs control our actions. Our actions give us our results. Engagement is our action step. Like, what are we going to do? If someone says, all right, we're all going to Pueblo. We're all going to Detroit. All right, who's driving? Well, how long are we going to be? What kind of car are we taking? How much mileage? Like, we have all these questions, right? You can't just jump in the car and go to Detroit. You have to map it out. You have to know, A, where you're starting from, and then B, your destination, and then you work yourself backwards. So we need to have a gas stop here. We need to eat here. We need to, right? Just work it backwards. Same thing with your life. So that's your engagement piece, is working it backwards, knowing exactly where you think you want to go. Maybe you don't know how, but you know, at least on the way, I've got to exercise, I've got to work out more. So work, that's your action plan, work your action plan. The next thing is sustainability. Keep performing at your best over and over and over again. Knowing that your best changes. It changes every day, it changes every second. Your best now, knowing what you know now versus what it was yesterday, they're entirely different now. It's impossible for you to do the best from yesterday based on what you know now, because you know so much more. You're so much more powerful. Sustainability is keeping your performance high repeatedly. And that means taking care of yourself. And I'll be the first one to tell you that there's a lot of stigma associated with seeking help or whatever else. It's ridiculous. It's another one of those pressures that society has put on us to try and keep us in the dark. If you struggle with something, if it's, and you guys are young, but it happens. If it's drugs, if it's alcohol, if it's whatever it is, there's some bad stuff that goes on, I get it. Like I said, I'm sorry if any of that bad stuff's happened to anyone. I'm personally sorry. But from this second, now you're personally in charge of your own destination. And then time. Become a master at time management. It'll give you so much more joy in your life. It'll take away so much stress. And it'll let you accomplish things that most people, they just waste. So please, take what you've learned today and leverage it to do your best for your success. Thank you very much.
College or career, then you're in the right place. Otherwise, you are in the wrong place and we'll try to direct you for where you're supposed to go.
That was the announcement.
Not for scholarship.
Sessions
Where's the, yeah.
Where'd you get on your way now?
You weren't in my way. Oh, I'm on the